Hello everyone, thank you for joining us for Joy in Our Town. I'm Aaron Motley. Joy in Our Town brings you information regarding the issues and problems we face in our local communities in hopes of finding some solutions. On the first portion of our program, we're talking about education. We have with us James Jeffers. He is the superintendent of Tallahassee City Schools. He's here today to talk to us about a recent technology upgrade in the school system. And this upgrade includes the addition of 50 tablet computers for teachers and certified personnel. According to Jeffers, the push to advance technology in the district stems from his desire to provide teachers with the most recent technology and best resources to instruct students. And we thank you, Superintendent, for being with us on the program today.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Great. This is a very interesting topic here because you and I know something about tablets, paper tablets, but now you're introducing something to the Tallahassee school system, computer tablets. And so we're going to look at that. But first of all, I just want to know, why do you think it's important to upgrade to computer tablets?
Well, the computer tablet is just $150 more than a standard compact computer. So you get so much more use of it to do more things with students than you can just a regular notebook computer. It has a lot more tools and a lot more access to things that students can interact with the teacher on a regular basis using the tablet. So it's a very helpful tool.
All right. How long have you had these tablets in this system?
We had these tablets in August, started August of this school year working with the tablets.
What do the teachers think about these?
Well, the teachers love them. The ones that are having them and are piloting the program really do think that they're really excellent tools for them in the classroom.
Are they making comparisons to the paper tablets and what they have worked with before, as far as any of them having any complications with working with computer tablets? Are you seeing anything like that?
No, there are no more complications than you would have with any other electronic device. As you know, computers can shut down for reasons that we don't understand even today, and that's the same true with tablet. You just have to restart it and then work from that. But it is much more useful in terms of what the teachers can do in the classroom.
So I understand you have like 50 right now.
We have 47 on order. We have 15 in use right now, so we'll have a little over 60 when we get finished with this order.
Okay. Does that mean before this school term is over, or
they'll be here by March the 1st?
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have them all in place by March 1.
Okay, so I'm sure you got a lot of excited teachers right now who are saying that, well, she's got one, I want one in my class too.
Absolutely, and in fact, those 47 teachers right now are going through the professional development training so that they will be able to use them immediately when they arrive.
Okay. Well, sir, you have one with you right now, and I'd like you to kind of hold it up to the camera, demonstrate a little bit of what it does. You could actually write on this thing. It looks just like the lined tablets and lined paper that we're all used to, folks in our age group. And now you can write on this. And tell us, as you are demonstrating this, what advantages would we have over the paper tablets?
Well, a teacher can take this particular tablet PC and walk around the classroom, and she can write problems on the tablet, like 4 times 4, and leave that blank. And then she can hand the tablet to a student, because all of this is done with a projector on the wall. So all the students can.
We got a little glare right there, but that's okay. But I think we get the point. How about that?
All the students can see what the answers are, and the teacher can correct that. The teacher can write instructions on the tablet. For instance, you might say, our purpose today is math multiplication.
Okay. Now, When the teacher is writing this and using this one in the classroom, this is going to be projected up on the wall.
It's projected up on the front of the wall, just like
a PowerPoint.
Just like you had a blackboard or a whiteboard of that sort of thing. It's the same thing, and the teacher, because it's wireless technology, the teacher can just carry this around wherever she wants. She can do it anywhere in the room. She can be sitting at a student's desk, working with a student. The student can place it on their desk. It's completely portable.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, she can be in the room next door if she wants to, and it'll project on the screen. But normally, you do that within the one room that you're working.
Okay. So will this almost replace the blackboard?
It will not replace it, but it certainly will render the blackboard for permanent type things rather than things that are constantly changing, because you just turn your pen upside down and erase just like you would any other piece of paper, and what you put there is gone. So you recycle this information as often as you like. You push the save button with your pen, and it saves that information. You can print it out, send it home to parents, give it to students. You know, put it in lesson plans, whatever you want to do with it, because it's all right here in a form that's not carbon copy, but it's savable, and then you don't have to save a lot of paper documents in a file. They're all saved electronically.
I see. And we have to admit we are in an electronic world now where kids, they come into the world already knowing how to use a computer. They're just geared toward that.
That's correct.
And so now what we have in the classroom is something that really, I guess, reflects the type of youngsters that we have right now. And the technology that's available.
Right. I think the students are further along technology-wise than the adults are in the world which we are. So what we're trying to do is catch up with the students.
Yes.
Trying to get a technology that they know and they can use in a way that helps their educational process.
I see. Now, can you envision having all students to have one of these? Maybe, I don't know if the school system would purchase that, or maybe
Absolutely.
if each student would have it.
And I believe that's a direction that we will go. Eventually, we will have tablets for all the students in a room, plus the teachers there, and they will use it to do their work. And there are programs where the teachers work, and she can also see all the students' work at one time on a tablet. There's software in existence now that will do that.
And they can also take exams on these, and it'll be harder to cheat.
much more difficult to cheat, because the teacher's actually watching you work with the tablet PC.
Yes, okay, well, we can see that could have some advantages right there, but also, would you say that these are really cost effective? What is the cost of these?
They run about $1,500. A normal laptop runs about $1,350 with the same memory and hard drive that on it. So it's about $150 more to get a tablet PC.
Yeah. With the school systems in Alabama suffering a little bit financially, would you say that this is very cost effective? Is this anything that could possibly be a setback, or do you see this as really an advance forward?
This is an advance forward, and it's not cost ineffective because you have so many multiple uses for this. This has replaced my desktop PC. Everything I do on this machine. I don't have a desktop anymore because the memory on this is much larger than what's on a desktop. They have computer chips now that are so small that you can put so much more on this, and it's portable, so I can take it to the school. I have faculty lists and staff lists and student lists. I can look up all kinds of information no matter where I am in the school system that I can use to talk with parents or discuss with business leaders what our needs are and what our projects need to be.
Where do you see this taking us into the future?
I see this as just the beginning of what will actually happen. I actually think these things will come out much smaller and much lighter than they are now. That will be more useful, and it will be unusual not to see someone carrying around a computer, tablet PC that will be able to do everything. We're almost there now with the new phones and the iPods and the things that are much smaller but have the visual screen. So we're getting much closer, and I expect in the next 10 years or so these things will be so common that we'll say, why did we think they were unusual just a few years ago?
Do you think this is causing the students to become smarter? Or is it giving them more of a motivation to study? Or I mean,
yes,
what's
I do
happening?
think there's some motivational factors here. I think it makes it easier for them to access a lot of information quickly.
Yes.
And that's the thing. When you have to have a paper pencil and you have to copy down from resources and things and annotate those mechanically, that's a slow process. With a computer, when you download that information and you look at it and you read it, you're not actually typing in that information. It's already there. You're just gathering it so you learn more quickly the information that you're trying to ascertain.
Well, maybe, just maybe, it'll cause a lot of students to think about, well, I can get my homework done a lot faster. Now I can get out and do some other things that I like to do, some extracurricular activities or whatever.
Right, but the opposite of that is they're not doing the homework real well right now. So this is an access tool that will let them do that.
Okay, and so again, your response from the instructors, the teachers, everyone in the schools, they're excited.
They are very excited about it because they're attending these professional developments on their own time, and they have seen it work in the classroom, and they know what an advantage it is to have one.
Other school systems that you know about that's
yes, there are a number of school systems that are using tablet PCs. Auburn City System has a number of these. I think there's some in the Opelika school system. Those are the systems close by that I know are working with or considering tablet PCs for the classroom.
Okay. Well, Superintendent Jeffers, we thank you for your efforts and what you're doing.
Thank you.
And all the best to you out there.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for being with us on Joy in Our Town. And we'll be back in just a moment with more of Joy in Our Town. You stay where you are. Thank you for joining us for this second portion of Joy in Our Town. We'll continue to talk about education. We have with us in the studio Assistant Montgomery County School Superintendents Michael Lenhart and also Deborah Thomas, and they're here today to talk to us about the latest available information regarding the No Child Left Behind Act. They will also discuss the controversial corporal punishment, and we also just thank you for being with us on Joy in Our Town today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Both of you. And we appreciate you coming to be with us and taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. But we want to just start off by looking at the No Child Left Behind Act. Maybe you can both address this as far as a little bit of history. How did this come about, and how is it going in our area? Maybe we'll just start with you.
Okay. Well, the No Child Left Behind Act actually started many, many years ago as the Education for Elementary and Secondary Students Act under, I think it's President Johnson.
That's correct.
And it resulted in federal programs that came to school districts for children who were identified as in need of other services, special services that perhaps weren't afforded to them because of their financial status. And in 2001, under President Bush, it became the No Child Left Behind Act, and that was enacted in 2002, and it has really just refined the earlier act, and made the school systems more accountable for all subgroups, demographic subgroups that exist within any public school system.
Okay. What were some of the things that we were seeing in our school systems here in Montgomery? Have we seen a difference since the No Child Left Behind Act took effect?
Well, we have. Previously, one of the main provisions of the No Child Left Behind Act is that the state has to measure the state content standards that they require be taught in the elementary schools and in secondary schools too. Previously, the states had standardized tests, but they weren't necessarily aligned with what the state required to teach. For instance, the SAT may have measured many more things than the state actually required to teach. So under No Child Left Behind Act, one of the big improvements is that the states were required to test the state standards and only the state standards. So it made the testing line up with what was actually taught in the school. So that was a huge improvement. I think another improvement is it also took every demographic group and made us manage them separately. You couldn't hide, for instance, in a school that was mostly minority students. If you had a small subgroup of Hispanics or white Americans in there, they would just be counted into the average of all the students. Now you have to track boys, girls, every demographic separately and track their progress separately. So that's a huge improvement also.
Okay. Moving over to you, Dr. Thomas, can you talk to us about some of the programs or some of the activities that's being innovated now, just things that's going on to help those students to bring their grades up and see all kinds of improvements?
Surely, and just to follow up with what Mr. Lenhart has indicated, basically there are 4 major themes associated with the No Child Left Behind Act. Accountability, and of course with all of the state assessments, we are looking at accountability. How are we serving students and how are they progressing with those services? Among some of the activities that are included under that umbrella of accountability would include supplemental educational services or tutoring, mentoring, involving students in innovative activities, because we know that all children can learn, but they may not necessarily learn at the same rate or with the same activity. We don't have a one-size-fit-all, educational, plan.
So these are services specifically targeted to certain students and their needs.
That is correct in terms of those supplemental services.
Okay.
But for all students, we are looking at differentiated instruction to ensure that we are servicing students at the best rate possible. Even with gifted and talented students, we know that they don't necessarily learn at the same rate as other students. So accountability is one great factor. And under that umbrella of accountability, we do have report cards that school systems are issued every year. So how are you doing? I mean, we give grades to students, so why not give grades to the school systems? So that we will have a business plan by which to monitor our progress, because we're always looking at ways to become better. Now, just following along with the other 3 themes, parental involvement is another significant area. So we are looking at ways by which we can involve more parents in the educational progress of their students, because research shows that when we have a connection among the parents, the children, and the school, we are able to produce a better product. And then there's flexibility. Being, the third thing, we get a lot of federal dollars to support the initiative. And heretofore, we've had more rigid ways by which we've had to execute financial plans. But now we have a little bit more flexibility in terms of serving, the community.
Okay. Well, great. So now, you did mention something about getting parents more involved. How are parents more involved in their children's education now?
I'll let you get there.
Okay. Well, obviously, every school that's in a Title I or a No Child Left Behind school that gets federal dollars has to develop a school improvement plan by which they plan out their activities and their course for the next several years. Included in that plan is a parental involvement plan. And they have to dedicate a certain amount of those federal dollars to parental involvement. And schools do that in different ways. Some schools have outreach programs. Others set up parent centers within the school. Many times they invest in things that automatically notify parents when their children are not at school and the parents might think they are. They have activities during the school improvement process where they invite parents in to become a part of the school improvement plan and get their input and get their buy-in into the school improvement plan. So that part of parental involvement is very, very important.
Okay.
Of course, the other side of that is, as Dr. Thomas alluded to, is the accountability. You know, the school's report card is out there in the public for everybody to see, and that generates public discussion, which is good. It gets the parents and the community involved and concerned about the schools that serve the children of our community.
Okay. Let's move on to talk a little bit about discipline in the schools, because this is a great concern in our area, and especially to talk about corporal punishment. What are your views on this and the policies that are in place right now? Both of you can address that.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to go first?
Well, in terms of the policy for the school system, we do currently have a policy that supports the use of corporal punishment, you know, along with certain procedures. And with those procedures, we know that there must be a substantial reason for the punishment. There must be a witness at the time that the punishment is executed. Parents need to be notified about the action. And the student, of course, needs to be given due process in terms of responding to the reasons for the action. And, you know, we want to have some follow-up activities in terms of, you know, not only why did you do what you did, but what are you going to do differently?
Go ahead.
And I think from a school standpoint, you really asked us two questions. One about discipline in the schools and then specifically about corporal punishment. And corporal punishment is just sort of the last straw within a school. There's lots of discipline measures that are taken prior to that point.
Okay.
And of course, the punishment is allowed by the school system, but parents have the right to revoke that. If they don't want their child punished using corporal punishment, they can indicate that, and then the school system has to respond to the infraction in another way. So the discipline part of it, corporal punishment is just a small part of the entire discipline picture. And
the last resort, in other words.
Well, it's not the last resort. Of course, the last resort would be stricter measures that would go on up to the district level.
Yes, that's
it. But it's, you know, in most cases in the schools today, principals really use that as the last resort in getting a child's attention. And most principals, you know, if it has the effect they're looking for, that's good. If it doesn't, they quit using it and start working with the parents.
And there are some school systems that have done without this altogether. They've, you know, they've eliminated it. What do you see as far as what will happen in our area? Do you see that it is effective in the way that it's being used in the Montgomery schools, or do you feel like that, you know, this really is old-fashioned? It's something that needs to be looked at as, you know,
well, you know, as
long ago.
Sitting where we sit, you know, we really can't make judgments about whether it's going to be here or not be here. That's certainly a school board decision. But you know, it currently is a policy in the district, and as long as it's here, we'll support it.
And can you see it as being effective? Is it working?
Well, I think that that's a question that will be associated with the individual situation.
Okay.
Just wanted to follow up on the previous comment that this is a societal issue, I think, you know,
Okay.
really,
Okay.
you know, that we need to consider. And yes, we're always looking at ways to improve. And of course,
Okay.
a review of our policies and procedures will be a part of that process, even though we cannot say what the end result will be. But going back to my previous statement about the home and the school and the children, you know, working together. I mean, we need to look at cultural differences. If we have certain standards at the school level, then we need to have a follow-up or a connection with what is going to occur at home.
Okay.
What's permissible at home may not be, you know, allowed at the schoolhouse, and we do see a division, you know, there, particularly at the secondary level.
Okay.
I like to say that we want to run a school like a business,
I see.
and students need to realize that the way that you dress at school is going to have a direct impact on your work environment.
Okay. One last thing, real quick. Do we see less and less or fewer and fewer children left behind in our area?
We are closing the achievement
We
gap,
are.
and we are very happy
gap.
to say that.
Okay. Report cards are looking better for the schools.
Well, I would just like to do a little bit of bragging, if I may.
Real quick.
Last year, Montgomery County
Okay.
had more schools than ever
Okay.
make their adequate yearly progress,
Okay.
and every
Great.
elementary school did.
We appreciate that. Well, that's good to hear. We thank you for joining us for Joy in Our Town this week. Join us again next week at the same time. We'll see you then.